Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Vision for Us podcast. I'm your host, Terrence, and I am here with my lovely wife,
Angelica.
And we're the Prathers.
Why do you laugh every single time we say it? I'm wondering where you would get over the little cheesy thing. Yes, we are the Prathers.
I will not get over it.
Okay.
So how are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Awesome.
Ready to talk about this topic.
Well, our topic today is going to be, this is a good one too. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's dive on in.
All right. So our topic today is marriage really what we thought?
Okay.
How do you feel about that topic?
Well, I don't think I had a clear vision of what marriage looked like.
Okay.
I think the goal for me when transferring from singleness to being married, it was getting married. Okay. Then I had small visions, and it was like, I knew that I could see whoever God would put me with, we would be both ambitious and like working towards something. So I remember one time I had like a vision of like us both like, or maybe daydreaming, but like what it would be like if we were working on something together. So that part, I think I had a vision on that. Okay. But the day-to-day of what marriage really looked like, I think even in your single season, you don't even ask the right questions to those who are married.
Okay.
Because you only look from the lens of the desire of wanting to be married. So now that I am married and almost 10 years into the game, I just think that some things are good that I didn't know, that I stumbled upon. I think when they say ignorance is bliss, I think that certain things were good for me to be ignorant in because I didn't set myself up for so much expectations within our marriage. Really? Yeah. Okay. I had expectations in you as a person, but not like if we think of the name of the Vision for Us podcast, I didn't really have clear vision of what our marriage, what I wanted it to look like. I knew I wanted it to be happy. I wanted it to be fun. I didn't want it to be boring and stale, but those are just blanket statements. Those are not details.
Those are not deep details.
Yeah. So,
okay.
What is your take? Like, when it comes to our marriage, particularly?
Marriage, what did I think marriage was going to be? I know I've said this in previous episodes, and I thought the marriage was going to be like the Huxtables.
Oh, okay.
Like the Cosby Show.
So you were just living in daydream land. You weren't in reality.
So that's what I thought it was going to be.
Was that a desire? Because when you watched it, you're like, that's the example.
When you see a good-looking couple who's not only ambitious, but also successful, and has a pretty good family and a foundation. I mean, why wouldn't you think or want that?
Yeah, but think of this, like even us right now, like the idea of like watching a TV show and saying, that's like the level of success that I desire, right? And that's fine. But there's another set of people that's not like success could be a stay-at-home mom while the husband is going out and working. Success could be, hey, we own multiple land. We are working on our home business and nobody. So it's like those images was not portrayed on TV, which took out a level of people or even a thought process that could be success.
Not necessarily. There was another show that I liked. It was called Rock.
Okay. Was he? I don't remember. Was she working?
He was. No, I don't think she was working too much, or she started to in the show. But he was always out working. He was a garbage man.
Okay.
Had a nice, pretty okay house and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you asked me what I thought.
No,
my perception was of what marriage would be like. Our marriage is fun. I'm always laughing or trying to laugh all the time. So
yes, just before we press record, he was smacking in my ear, making all types of sounds. And I'm like, let's pray before we start this episode. And he just loves to have fun, which is good. It keeps us laughing. It keeps us joyous, and it sets the atmosphere of it not being so serious. So, regarding to what we really thought it would be, I think because we started as friends, it made it so much easier to just glide into it every single day.
Okay. I can respect that response. Do you think good marriages come naturally with the right person?
Yeah, I think with the right person, it can still look unpretty, but I think with the right person, I would say that if you do marry the right person, then every day will be enjoyable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think when we define right, it's not that they fit your imaginary boxes. It's not that they are perfect in all the things that you desire. They are perfect for you, even in your flaws. So they, where you're weak, they're stronger at. There are certain gifts that God did not give you that gave your spouse. And then you guys coming together can actually work towards something. There's just things that I just naturally just don't possess at all that you are excellent in. And I've learned to lean on that instead of trying to be in a zone that is just not my zone.
Okay.
And so when you do marry right, that and it's put together not based on your own selfish desires, and it's for a bigger purpose, then marrying right makes it super easy.
What do you, when they say marry right, what does that entail? Because, marriage takes work.
It does.
So how, when you say marry right, what do you mean? I think people have the misconception that if you marry right, you're not going to have any conflicts. You're not going to have any, no hardships. You're not going to have any, no situations that might.
Then a person that even thinks that because I've married the right person, I won't have any issues. Scratch the other person. Do you have personal issues when you're just by yourself? Absolutely.
Okay.
Right. So if somebody says, oh, when I get married, then I will be, you're not even telling yourself the truth about yourself. You're not a perfect person. You don't have day to day. You're going to have some conflict within yourself. So for me, marrying the right person is marrying the person that God ordained me to be with. Is it going to be easy? No, because life was not made to just be in this superficial bliss, like almost like TV. There's a villain and then someone comes to save you and then, oh, I'm happy again, right? So it makes your emotions be kind of all over the place. But I think when I say marry right, I mean that God has placed you with a person. They're your person. You don't have to guess. It's just such a surety. And I had a friend tell me this when I was single, and she was married. She got married a lot, years way before I did. And I remember her saying, when you will know, there is a knowing, there is no guessing, because I was still like dating and stuff. And she's like, I'm just telling you that you will know. There will be no guessing. All the stuff that you're doing and dating and you're not sure, you have to guess or make up or gaslight yourself. You're going to know, and he's going to know, and he's not going to court you for forever. He's going to be about purpose. His language will be so different because he sees you as a wife, nothing else outside of that. And I didn't get it until we met. And I'm like, oh, this is exactly what she meant. And then when we had a conversation, cause she was like, I went from single to like, oh, you're in a relationship? When did this happen? Because we didn't get a chance to really talk about it. Right. And I said, you were so right. When you know, there's no guessing. There's no, there's none of that gray area. There was no gray area. You didn't have to figure it out. You just knew that it was the right person. And so I think that there is beauty in the wait, but a lot of people get impatient in the waiting and knowing. So for me, that's the right person.
Okay.
What is the right person for you? Because from a male's perspective, there's a narrative of like, oh, men don't want to get married. They just want to string people along, but you know who your wife is. What is it what are some qualities, I think, for those who could be listening or even watching, what are some qualities that you immediately say, that's my wife?
That's a good question because, like I said, I've married so many. This is one for one. I know from the standpoint of, and I can only speak from my experiences. I know from me, there was things that I finally knew what the red flags were. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't going to force myself into a relationship or a marriage because I was in a relationship with that person any longer. There's red flags. I think for me, when we met, I can't explain. I can't explain it or put it in words. I knew that you were the one. There were certain qualities from our conversation, the type of conversation that we had. And then it really put a cherry on top when I met your family. And so even after we were already in it, but then it also put more confirmation on you were the one when we went and had our baby shower that summer before Genesis was born. Yeah. And met the rest of your family. Okay. So I think what helped me was some of the conversation that we had. Even when I was going through my situation when we were friends, you never even pushed yourself or pushed our friendship into a relationship. You gave me sound advice and sound guidance to where ultimately helped me make a decision on what I wanted for me and for my life. Yeah. So I think when you're talking to someone and you'll know pretty much when you'll have a conversation, you'll know. And then it's also based off of the type of friend that they are. I think friendship had a lot to do with it. Yeah.
So my grandma used to give me this one piece of advice because I remember when I was single, I probably lived considered to most a kind of a boring life. So I would go to work. I was very ambitious. And I think a lot of women fall into that. We kind of like fall in love with our careers. We get ambitious. If you don't want to be outside, delicious outside, you kind of just focus. And then I considered myself to be a woman of God. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to be out here dropping like it's hot everywhere. You know what I mean?
Just somewhere.
No, just no. So I remember she said, when you can capture a man's mind, you'll have them forever.
That's true.
And I didn't get it at first, but she was like, as women, we can look good. We can be we can set ourselves up to look like a great presentation. But if the heart and the character is not matching what looks on the outside, because men are visual. So she was like, of course, they're going to look at you. They're going to like everything that they see. If they're, if they're looking at you with the spirit of lust, then you already know there's a barrier there, right? But if they can't see you past that lust, if they can't see any of those things outside of what makes you look pretty on the outside, they don't talk about your character. They don't talk about your heart. They're not interested in your family. They're not interested in your pains, your like all of those different things. If you can't have an intellectual conversation with that particular person, that's not your person. Because when God ordains a heart together, he's going to expose the heart.
Okay.
I thought that was really, I took a lot of key points from her speaking to me because she used to say, your Boaz is not coming to that salon.
How did your grandmother and you get into conversations like that? Did you ask her questions or did she just open up and have those type of conversations with you? Because I don't remember, and that's the problem. I don't remember having those type of conversations with my grandmother, my father, aunts, and it's probably because I'd never asked.
Well, I was always an inquisitive kid. And I didn't have a problem asking questions that I wanted answers to. And for me and my grandmother, I can speak particularly to our relationship. When I was younger, I didn't talk to her about those things. When I got older and there was distance, I had moved away. we started to develop a friendship, and she would share things like with me. Like, she's like, I'm a divorced woman, but she supported marriage. Like, she believed in marriage. She believed in love. She believed in, and she would share, I have voice notes of her dropping tons of nuggets about what she believed, that the word of God, she believed the word of God. And so these conversations would happen starting from just me having a question, but she would always bring me back to the word. Okay. And so I think I just was an inquisitive person. And so it kept my dialogue with her open. And most people, in your family, you may not have that, but we didn't have so much of like, oh, your grandma, so you fit into this boat. And you know how my grandma was. She was kind of with it. So she was lit. She was on TikTok. I mean, she all the way up until she passed, she was sending memes and all the different things in technology. She was just with it. She loved young people and she can speak into young people. And I think she did a great job with trying to invest what she had, but she told you the truth too. Yeah. And sometimes it didn't feel pretty, down to like the last time she spoke to you, she was like, what did she tell you?
That I need to be on the family prayer too.
Yeah.
Like the family needs to see both of you guys on the family prayer.
Yeah. And so she just was with it, and she would just say it and keep it moving. Right. Like, it was not a big deal. I think it's a beautiful thing when you keep people who have a lot of wisdom around you. Mm-hmm. And I just happened to have such a great relationship with my grandmother that even for us, she would say stuff to us and it would be impactful for us. Right. So you do need wise counsel around you. And so I think when we're tying it back to what we're talking about marriage of what we thought it would be, when you keep people in good counsel with you, they are going to champion new relationships or champion and speak so much life into it that you're like, oh, I can have a blissful marriage. I can have those different things. Even though my grandmother had divorced for many years, she still championed love. Like, she was so excited that when I told her we got engaged, she told everybody. She was telling about how you propose. And then when we had kids, she like, send me my grandbaby's pictures so she can show everybody when she was going to the doctors and stuff, and just having those conversations. But she poured into us. And I think that those who are married now and those who desire to be married now, start talking to people who are actually married. Right. Start surrounding yourself with people who have more wisdom than your social media feed, because your social media feed is only share what you're thinking. It's meant to pour things into you that you're interested in.
Well, social media is only going to show what people want to show, and they only show the good parts.
Yeah. So if you get around people, like, get off of your phone and talk to real people in real life, you will be surprised how much information that is not online, that is not being talked about, they will share it with you. Okay. Yeah.
Do you think love is enough to sustain a marriage?
I don't know, because I think I love you, but I like you too. I like who you are as a person. And I remember someone sharing, another person with wisdom was like, no, I like the person that I'm with, because it's going to come a point where you might not feel the same type of love you felt day one, because they could be going through changes or whatever, but your commitment to God, like, I still have to like you. So I don't know if that's just where I am right now. I don't know if love is enough. I think love, from the word of God, love is enough. But from my natural flesh, I'm like,
Well, love is an emotional type thing. So it's an emotional, I don't think love is.
But isn't love an action word?
Love is
kind.
Love is kind. Love is gentleness. Love is,
it's not boastful. It's not boastful. Brag. Yeah.
Right. But it's also emotions. And I don't think emotions, love is not enough. I think the commitment is what, you have to like the person. Yes. Yes. And I believe you do have to love the person. Yes. But it's ultimately the commitment that you made
to the person,
and the commitment that you made with God.
And to yourself.
And to yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I just think when I hear that or that question, it's like, oh, is love enough? I mean, I love you enough, but every day.
Every day what?
No, boy, let me get my statement out. Jeez, he's like, every day what? Were you about to have a knockout drag out in the camera?
No.
I'm just saying, we face some tough times in our 10 years, and not long or not even that hard. Now, when you look back, we have faced some tough times, tough decisions, and but I like you. I like you more when we go through things. Like our love grows. So I just think it's love enough. I don't know if that's like, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What are your thoughts on modern views on marriage? Is it hurting marriages today? Specifically, more so, young Christians,
or young couples in general,
or young people that are not in couples but want to be married. Do you think the modern views today are hurting marriage?
I think there's so much noise. You have to discern what noise is valuable of listening to.
I don't even keep up with the modern, what is modern nowadays, or what people are really saying about marriage, or what. I just know
there's a lot of junk.
Yeah, we get snippets or bits and pieces from YouTube, but other than that, I'm not really.
No, I think the narrative of marriage today being like it's a death sentence for like men, right? They'll be like, "Oh, you getting married?" Like when fellas, they're not excited. You don't hear a lot of men like, "Yo, you getting married?" Like they're not excited. Where for women, when you're like, "Oh, you're getting," it's a different kind of narrative from both angles. I think that if we start to champion that I'm getting married and it's an exciting thing and it's a great thing, it's the next level of, like, if we say it's a next level of growth, not even success, but it's just growth. You're going to grow, you're going to develop, you're going to become a parent, or if you're not a parent already, all of those different things. I think that the noise of painting marriage as disposable in this modern day culture is hurting most people from being scared to even want to take that leap.
I think it's more so being scared of the commitment, specifically for men. I mean, obviously I wasn't scared.
Yes, we don't.
But a majority of men is like, being committed to that one person for the rest of their lives.
And that to me is modern for men to say you need to test all of these different women and stuff like that. If that is the foundation of manhood, and not saying all men, right, but if that's preached so much louder to young men and young boys, then it's like they're looking for this needle in a haystack, and it's like, let me run through all these women to see.
But isn't the same thing preached to women?
Now it is, right? Now that is becoming the thing, where before it was like, preserve yourself, save yourself until marriage. And I believe that, even though I did not follow that, I believe that. And I see why that is one of the standards, because you don't have to run yourself through the mud to get to Mr. Right. And then he has to unpack all that stuff. You got to unpack that stuff. It's just like,
it's too much.
It's just so much work. So it makes, I think that God knew what, because sin has entered the world, right? Nobody has to teach us how to lie. We know how to do that quickly, right? Nobody, but we have to be taught how to be a good person.
Right.
So because of sin, it makes it easy, or you can attach yourself to these philosophies, but the word of God is the word of God for a reason. If you do preserve yourself and wait for, your spouse, then you're not coming in with all this baggage. Now, there might be childhood things that can come in that you may have to deal with, but at this point, you're not dealing with,
she hurt me, or he hurt me, or he did this.
Yeah, it's none of those things. So I understand now, and I've said this to friends, and I'll say it publicly. I wish that I would have waited for marriage And one of the reasons why I say that now is because there's baggage. No matter how much you say, oh, I'm over that person, I am over that person. But I did not use discernment with who I allowed in my relationships, into be in fake covenants with, because now you're attaching yourself not just to them, but to the demons that they have on their own side.
Okay.
And I'm just like, oh, I got to go all this work to then get married. And thank God, while I was single, I was starting to do that work, that by the time you and I got together, I wasn't dragging this person or that person into our marriage. It was like, okay, I feel like there's a blank slate for me to really be in a covenant with you.
Do you think there was a blank slate for me when we got together?
I would say yes and no. So yes, because you had just given your life to God. And so there was a redemption and not giving your life to God. Let me say that. You had made a different level of commitment to be committed to God. And you profess that publicly by getting baptized and stuff like that. Because I was a woman of faith, I seen your stuff as a blank slate because you did that leap, right? And so I didn't go into it looking like, oh, he's been this, he's like, that never played in my head because I believe that the Lord allowed me not to see what looks like a bad resume, but to look at the heart of the person. And when you did that, I'm like, oh, if he's not holding his whole resume, how dare I do that when I have a resume myself, you know? So that's why I said yes and no, because in my natural, it's like, if I want to share this, I always said I wanted you to share your story, and I had no condemnation over it because you weren't condemned over it. Right. So even if people was like, oh, you married somebody he's been married multiple times. Yes, I did. Did somebody marry you and you had Tom, Dick, Harry, this one, that one? Like, nobody knows that. Yeah, you're still in a covenant because in the eyes of God, that's marriage, right? You didn't sign a documentation. You have made legal commitment to your previous, but every person that I slept with in God's eyes, I was married to. So when I had that reality check, I was like, oh, well, who am I to say? Right. I don't have no room to stand on.
Okay. How do you reset expectations for a healthy marriage? How do we reset our expectations for our marriage?
Well, I think we always come back to a drawing board of having the honest conversations. Right. And if we don't have those, then it's just like, you know, like you said, giving an example to those who are watching and listening. You said, I'm going to go back to school. Right. And I was like, okay, so in this season, if you're going to go back to school, this is what you are. This is what our schedule, this is what our life looks like now. With you being in school, this is going to remove you out of this, and this, and this. And it's like, okay, this is where I can commit to. So I think that sets an expectation. And some days I'm a little lazy. I'm like, oh, I committed to that. Like, why did I say that? In this season, for me, I told you I need to be in some type of grief counseling. And that I know you're going to be in school, but I need to do this. It's important that I do that. So I think us just always having the honest conversation helps us to stay back, realign, and get things in order for our household and for what we're doing and what we're building.
I know it's a little bit off topic, and this is going towards the previous question I asked. But remember this past weekend, Genesis said he got a girlfriend.
Oh Lord!
How did you feel about that?
About my son saying he has a girlfriend?
Your 8-year-old son saying he got a girlfriend. I don't really think he knows that. What he's implying. No,
but then I realized that it must be the girl because I'm like, oh, is that your girlfriend or is that your friend or whatever? He never used to use the word girlfriend. He would say that. So I think it's the girl who likes him. And now he's like, oh, because he goes along with everything. Oh, she's my girlfriend. I'm like, you know, you can have a girlfriend. But it also sparks the conversation of us talking about him, even though he's 8, you got to plant the seeds of, I'm like, it's beautiful that you love, you know, that you are admiring this little girl. I said, do you think she's pretty? You know, I had a little bit more dialogue with him. And then I'm like, well, you know, dating, you're 8 years old, like you're she's your girlfriend. Do you like her? Like, what do you guys like about each other? And he's like, oh, we play outside. Like, just the innocent things. And then I was like, I asked him, well, is she like your wife? I just wanted to see. He was like, no, my wife is going to be, he told me it was, my wife is going to be, he went down this whole list and I want to have 3 kids. He knows the kids' names. I'm like, okay, stay prophetically speaking over your wife. But I was like, but if she's not your wife, should she be your girlfriend? She's like, well, he goes, well, she's my friend. So I'm like, okay, stay in the friend lane. And that was it. But it helps to plant the seeds in having these conversations about marriage, right? I think it's cute. I think it's a cute thing, but you got to watch because these little girls are a little fast. Girls and boys are fast. Let me say that. Put that caveat out there.
How do you feel about cohabitation before marriage?
So we did it.
Yes, we did.
Yes. So I'm not trying to sit here and say we were shacking up.
We were shacking up.
Yes. And just a little caveat, we also got pregnant before we were married.
Before we got married. Yep.
So I'm not Miss Perfect over here.
Who do you think that responsibility fall on with cohabitation? Like even bringing up cohabitation. Is it the man's responsibility, even if because most of the times men are more like held back with cohabitating and living with the woman that they're dating.
You said they are easy to do it, or
no? They're more so
likely
hesitant to do it.
Oh, really?
It's more so a lot of women. I mean, from my experience, I'm only speaking from my experience.
Okay, because I thought that men like to keep their own space.
That's what I'm saying. Women are the ones that bring up to the men, hey, let's live together. Well, and that's from my experience.
Okay. From my experience,
men usually like to stay on their own. So what I'm saying is, whose responsibility, if the woman comes to the man and say, hey, I want to live with you. We should live together to see, how it's going to work out or whatnot. Is it the man's responsibility to say no, and vice versa? Is it like whose responsibility does it fall on? Well,
if we're both in a relationship, then it's both of our responsibility. Okay. But I do believe that as a man, if you have a desire, if you're going to marry the person,
right? You're
well aware if you're you don't have to even guess.
Okay.
Right.
But even with that knowing, even though you know that you're going to marry this person, should you still live with the person before you get married?
No, because if I'm committed to what I'm about to do, whether I live with you or not, and you get on my freaking nerves, that has nothing to do with those are such small things. Cohabitating with someone. And now I will say this, the longer you are single, it is very hard to break out of your kind of momentum and how you live and stuff like that. But if you're committed to the covenant that you just made, those things are going to be so small. You'll learn how to live and cohabitate together.
What covenant have you made? You haven't cohabited.
If you're engaged and you decide not to live with each other and wait, you're going to have to work out those little kinks of like, oh, I like my laundry this way. I like this. Like you used to fold clothes like the store. And I'm like, no, I don't do any of that. I'm hanging up my clothes. I didn't even buy dressers because I like my clothes to be hung up. And then I had shelves. But I don't think I think answering your question, I think that it falls on the responsibility of both. But I think as the head, if you are the head and you deem yourself the head of your relationship and you're submitting to God, then you should never ask the woman to live with you. And if that particular woman is still tapping into like modern day, and I love the Lord at the same time, because some of us be at that stage, right? And you ask, then it's up to you to say, no, I'm going to wait until we're married. I'm going to buy a house or we're going to get an apartment, whatever the case may be. Now, I did it.
Right.
I did it. We lived together.
Do you wish we wouldn't have done it?
We probably wouldn't have been pregnant.
I know that. I understand that. So what I'm saying is we would have gotten pregnant.
We would have gotten pregnant.
When we got married.
Yes.
So the kids
would have been here regardless.
Right. Kids would have been here regardless. So what I'm saying is, I'm asking you, would you had rather just waited
Absolutely. Because you were on the pursuit of buying a house. You would have bought the house, whatever house that you wanted. Or, you kept me involved in the process. And that would have made more sense. I think that we tie in every excuse. Oh, help us save money. That's not your business right now. That is not none of your business. You save your coin. He saved his coin. Y'all trying to cohabitate. Like all of the reasons why you move in together, they can make logic sense. It's just out of order.
Right.
Period. And no matter what you want to tell yourself, because we use we'll save money. We were neighbors. He lived across one way. I lived across one way.
Like there was no reason why we should have
cohabitated. It was just like, I can be at
move in together.
Not
because my apartment was literally right across the street. Not even across the street, across the parking lot.
Yes. It was a parking lot in between.
And we were both on the third floor.
No, the second floor.
No.
There's only 2 floors in that.
Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah, it was 2 floors.
2 floors, whatever. Okay. That was so long ago. Either way, it shouldn't have happened.
No.
Do you think that predicts, because some people will say, well, this will help us predict whether or not our marriage will be a success or a failure?
No. Well, I think if you do move in with each other, what it's going to do is expose where you're selfish.
Right. But biblically, biblically,
okay.
Is that going to even set you up or show whether or not your marriage is going to be successful or married or a failure?
No, I don't believe that.
Okay.
I believe that we're selfish by nature.
Right.
So even if we move in with each other and like, I didn't fold clothes the way you, those are such small things in the grand scheme of commitment.
Okay.
And I think that people stay stuck there because they can only see past you doing it my way. It's a matter of those are just small things. Oh, he left his toothbrush out. Now, if somebody's filthy, they're going to show you they're filthy. Look at their car. They always show you. There's always signs. Car.
If you go over to their house for dinner and their bathroom is dirty or their house is dirty,
absolutely.
They're going to show you. If they got clothes all over the place, they're going to show you. So, I mean, basically the cohabitation is not even necessary for you to see. Because you can see if your eyes are open.
No. I remember a young lady came up to me in where we're living now, and she was talking to me and she was just asking these questions. She was like, how do you, we're living together, and, I guess the gentleman that she's with is, he works a lot. He's kind of in transition and he's starting his business. And I'm like, he's starting his business. He's focused on his business, but he cohabitates and spends time with you. So he kind of lives there.
Right.
And I said, are you comfortable with him living there? She's like, well, he doesn't really contribute. I said, so y'all can still see each other if y'all just don't cohabitate with each other. Like, why do you need him to cohabitate? You can still date. You can still do all the different things, and he can focus on his business. I said, he's a young man setting himself up for success. And you need to be doing the same exact thing while you are in this season, setting yourself up so that when you guys do come together, you can buy a house and all these different things. You can be an asset. That's why you're working right now.
Right.
Because she said she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So I'm like, when you're no longer working and then you're taking care of your children and stuff like that, you guys are miles away. But if y'all have a plan, you don't need to cohabitate together because you're already in a commitment that you don't even like. You're dealing with issues that are made up because of what? Because you put it you rushed the gun for what reason? It's not even necessary. So yeah, she was like, I think we should. She was afraid to have that conversation about him not living there any longer, but she just like, well, we're kind of deep in it. And like, if you don't speak up now, you'll have a hard time speaking up if he's the one, which he told her she was the one. But I think that we try to do things that don't feel natural before it's time. It's like you're rushing the gun.
What do you think about sex before marriage?
I mean, I did it.
We did it. I'm asking these questions because we know we did it. Yes. We had sex before we got married. Yes. That's why we got pregnant. Well, you got pregnant before we got married.
Yes.
So I'm just saying.
Yeah, I did.
Culture says that
it's okay to have sex.
It's okay to have sex before marriage, or it's okay to test out whether or not that person is the right one for you. How do you feel about those culture stating that or saying that?
I think when you marry to the culture, it's always going to lead to disappointment.
Right.
There's a reason why, and I only speak for myself, and in women, if you're listening, you can chime into this part. You can totally disagree with me, and that's fine. But those who have been intimate with people that's not their husband, when you get to your husband, you have this thought process of like, oh, this guy used to do it like this. This guy used to, it's like, that's so unnecessary. And you give your body away to these people. And then it's now stored in your memory and your GI tract, which is why you feel like if you hear a certain person's name and stuff like that, you start feeling some type of way, or you get angry or whatever. That means there's no forgiveness there. Giving your body away to people who do not honor you, that's running through people, that you just swap in different people. And I just think that now, because I spiritually can see the results of that, I understand why God said, wait until you're married.
Okay.
Because there is all types of covenants that are made. You get into a relationship, that is such an intimate, sacred place to be. And I think that society has made it is so normal. Like, just sleep with whomever, I'm feeling you. That's fine if that works for you. But trust me, baby, it comes with, there's always a price that you pay on both sides. Right. And so I'm not just saying that because I just want to Bible thump or make people, there are some people who's like, my lust, right? It's just like, I need to scratch my itch. I've heard that so many times, and that might be good for you, but you're still lonely. You still desire that one person. All these people that got a piece of your body discarded you.
Right.
Like that's what it comes down to. They discarded you. And that's a place of, you have to now heal from that. Why go through all of that?
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And I know for men, per se, it's kind of normal. It's like, oh, go sleep. I can sleep with somebody and I have no emotion to it.
Well, it's kind of normal because of the culture. I mean, culturally, it's quote unquote norm. It's nothing that I was taught. I mean, my dad or family didn't say, hey, you need to go out and sleep with everybody, or sleep with as many women, or try it out before I was not told that. So it's more so cultural.
Yeah.
And if I was in the Word, or if I read the Bible and was in the Word, then I would have known that, hey, waiting until you get married is the ultimate. It's like the ultimate prize.
Yeah.
So.
And I think in marriage, like going back to marriage and like what you think it should be, I think if you remove all the cultural norms, even, and just write down what you believe marriage should be, like what do you desire? Write that letter of what your marriage is going to look like, what it should be like, what you would feel like, all of those different things. And you will see how much culture has an involvement in your decision when it comes to marriage. And that shows you how much you listen to culture more than you listen to the innate of what God has naturally put in you.
Okay. All right. Well, do you have anything else? Questions?
No. Well, when we're, let's go back to what we were saying, like, is marriage what we thought it was? And for us, and for those who are listening and watching, when you think of marriage, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Now or then?
Now.
It's a commitment. It's work. It's selfless. It's putting away your selfish wants for the greater good of your family.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a family, you're still putting away your selfish wants, your wants for the greater good of your spouse and your marriage.
Yeah.
So there's no easy, you could be loving and you can really deeply love each other. Everything is, flawless. You're still going to have to die to yourself, because we're selfish by nature. So you're still going to have to die to yourself. You're still going to have to sit down and be openly honest about what your wants are, so that you guys can work together to figure out exactly how that's going to fit in to what your spouse has going on for them, and how both of those things are going to come together.
Yeah.
And ultimately put you in a better place in the future as a married couple. So that's how I think of it now.
Yeah. And I to add to that, for me, being a married woman now, I see it as almost like a gift that I get to procreate with someone, build a life with someone. I now think it's an addition to who God intended me to be, and not as, I'm your wife. Yes, I'm your wife. You're my covering, all of those different things. But it is, it's an addition to what it doesn't take away from my individuality. It doesn't take away from what God called me to be or what I want to do in life. It's an addition to Angelica. And because I went from Angelica Taylor to now Angelica Prather, I get a chance to build a different type of life outside of what I was born into and now what I get to create. And so I think God is strategic by putting people together, if it's the right person, that you get to create something.
Well, it is the right person if God put it together.
Yes, right? I hope I said that right. Maybe I didn't say that right. But you get a chance to create a beautiful dynamic if you are committed to the process. So I think that what I believed as a single woman before us getting married to where I am now, I couldn't have wrote this down on a piece of paper.
No.
Not even close. Like not even in my dreams, even in our bad choices or difficult choices. I wouldn't say maybe more lessons, not even choices, but lessons that we had to learn, or it has grew us closer to things together and closer to God. Like you can't make those things up by scenarios. You can manufacture your life to make it look good as much as you want for the gram or for social media and all that stuff. But when you peel back the layers, when you have to look at yourself in the mirror, you want to be proud of what you are building together. And I think what we're building together now that we're on the same page is so much more easier. And
that's another thing why I wanted for this to be as authentic and not as authentic, to be authentic and real. Because, when you put things out and then people start peeling back the onions and the layers. It's like, wait a minute. How can they speak on something when they didn't do this or do that, or they haven't gone through this and that or whatnot? Like we said in previous episodes, we are still walking through our situation, our struggle. And it's not our relationship. It's not our marriage. It's more so how to bring in more income, to be able to enjoy life even more.
Yeah, absolutely.
We enjoy life.
Yeah.
We're happy. Our kids are happy. We enjoy life, but how can we enjoy life more to the fullest and improve it? And if you're not trying to even think of ways to improve, then that's a problem. Or if you and your spouse can't come together and figure out ways to improve while keeping your marriage intact and keeping your family intact, that's a problem. Yeah.
And society right now is almost glorified to be divorced. It's almost glorified to be single and independent. It's glorified that, men are out here running through a bunch of women. That's why I love when I see more couples, like when I see a bunch of dads getting together and like they're, doing their thing, or I see even moms and, or more couples, like it makes me smile because there was a generation where a lot of families were broken. And now I'm seeing like the next wave, like for our kids and their generation, it's more moms and dads are present. And so I think there's a turning of the tide, and I'm really excited about what's going to be happening in the realm of like marriage right now. And in the realm of like just family dynamics, things are going to be shifting and changing. So I pray and hope that that it continues, and that those who are in the day-to-day are starting to speak up and say marriage is a beautiful thing. It is not a death sentence to your individuality. Like, you can still have a great time with your spouse and still accomplish your goals, accomplish your dreams, accomplish all these different things. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It's a matter of putting things in priority and in place. And I think that if more people start thinking that way and speaking about it, the narrative will change. We have the power to change the narrative. And this is why the vision for us is created.
All right. Well, a couple episodes ago, I started reciting scriptures at the end of each of our podcasts. Again, I just started this a couple episodes ago.
Yes.
So I'm going to give about 5 scriptures, and then these scriptures will also be down below in the description. All right. So the first scripture is Ephesians 5:25 through 26. And this is the NLT, the New Living Translation. Yes. Mm-hmm. So for husbands, this means love your wives just as Christ loved the church. He gave up his life for her to make her holy and clean, washed by the cleansing of God's word. 1 Corinthians 7:2. But because there is so much sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife, and each woman should have her own husband. We just talked about that too a little bit. All right. The third, Genesis 2:18. Then the Lord God said, it is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper who is just right for him. Number 4, this is Peter 3:7. 1 Peter 3:7. In the same way, you husbands must give honor to your wives. Treat your wife with understanding as you live together. She may be weaker than you are, but she is your equal partner in God's gift of new life. Treat her as you should, so your prayers will not be hindered. And what was that? That was the 4th one?
Yeah.
And then the last one, this is Ephesians 5:31. As the scriptures say, a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one.
Beautiful. The word always gives you that those are real gems out of all that we said. But it goes to show you the principles they're their foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation, this episode. Again, the scriptures that I read will be down below in the description. Make sure you like, share, comment. And if you have anything that you would like us to talk on or speak about, please leave it in the comments. And then we do read all of our comments and respond to our comments, more so me.
Yes. Yeah, I will sometimes comment, but he's the one always commenting to you guys.
And it's a real person that's commenting. So
yeah, we're no bots.
So again, just go ahead, like, subscribe, and share.
Yeah. And we also have some free resources. So go to the Vision for Us podcast.com and you will get some of our free resources that are there. They're also listed in the description of this video and on the show notes. So definitely leave us a review if this has helped you. Share it with someone, and we will see you on the next one.
All right. Peace.
Bye.